Thanks again for joining in. This webinar is not going to take much of your time. We approximate this webinar is going to last between 30 to 45 minutes. It might stretch to 1 hour depending on how many questions we get and how many questions we have to answer. But we're here and we could answer your questions. If you have any questions, again, please just drop the messages and I'm going to respond to them right away. So a little bit about myself. My name is Abayomi. In the last 10 years, I've spent my professional life building softwares, building technology solutions and data analytics for different sectors in Nigeria. And currently the CEO of Energy 360 Africa, where we have a very solid team. And our mandate is simple: to use innovation to solve problems of the downstream oil and gas industry in Africa. We have been doing this quite well in the past 2.5 years, going to 3 years. And we think this webinar is going to help every business, or everyone who is even trying to set up a fuel business or trying to manage a fuel site, fuel dump, or fuel station or tanks, give you that level of information and give you so much knowledge on what you could use technology for and how technology could be of help to you. A little bit of background on the Africa's retail fuel market and case study of Nigeria. So Nigeria today, we consume approximately 60 million liters daily. And this 60 million liters is broken down into all the regions of the country. And this also comprises of both petrol, diesel, and kerosene. Now, our research, and when we look at what we've studied in the last few years, we came up with the result that there's an estimated 2% monthly loss ratio per station. And that is, if you, by the time you calculate 2% of 60 million in a day, calculate that in a month, then you see where the real problem lies. And this 2% is a very huge number, and it has caused many fuel businesses to close, to shut down. Some of them are having challenges with payments of staff salaries, and so they can't pay for fuel. The challenges are enormous. Right, and so we're able to break down these challenges into 6 main categories. First one being theft from storage tanks. There are so many scenarios where we've seen tanks, underground storage tanks and above ground storage tanks running short of fuel as a result of theft. And theft happens in different forms. Also, over dispensing of pumps. A little bit about the pumps. You fuel businesses are able to configure their pumps on how to dispense in order for them not to run at a loss. Now, the moment when your pump is over dispensing, for example, your pump is dispensing 22 liters, when a request for 20 liters was made, then you've lost 2 liters. That is one very common area where fuel businesses run at a loss, which we have also recognized. Shortages from tanker trucks. This is a very common challenge where you have you expect a 30,000 liter tanker truck to deliver 30,000, and you end up receiving 28,000 or 29,500, and you lose 400 liters. Multiply that by maybe 5 deliveries in a month, then you could imagine the amount of volume that you've lost over shortages from tanker trucks. Another challenge we've seen is loss and mismanagement of cash. So much cash is in the hands of the attendants, and sometimes this cash gets missing, and then you start listening to stories that touch. Cash also gets missing on route to bank. The bank's cash gets missing because there's so much cash in the station, and it's a potential is a huge risk area, because now you have low control of what happens. In Nigeria today, just roughly 15 to 20% of transactions that happen at the station occur via POS, and which leaves everything cash. So, for example, an average station probably does 300,000 or 500,000 naira a day. That's a low-end station anyways. 500,000 naira a day, you lose. You have the risk of losing that whole 500,000 because it's in the hands of someone. Anything could happen, and and all those cash could get missing before it even gets to the bank. Another challenge is price change fraud. Retail businesses generally are in some level of competition because the margins on for product is really low. For example, you have a 6 naira margin on petrol or 5 naira margin, depending on the fuel business, and you want to ensure that your competitors who are next door to you selling the same products are not winning over you. And we realize that price change is a huge risk area because you have low level of control over the prices that are changed on your forecourt, on your pumps. So I'll give you an example. Without technology, you manually you have to call the station manager, or you have to call an engineer to come and change the price at the station. And the engineer is going to take roughly a day or two, or take a few hours, and you're going to also pay for that price change activity. Within that short space of time when you need the price to be changed, your competitor on the other side has already changed its price from 145 to 143. And you might probably lose a whole lot of customers that day because they're going to your competitor who is selling 2 liters less of petrol or selling 3 liters less or 50 kobo less. The average buyer in this country, the average buyer in Africa, is going to go to the neighboring station just because of 1 naira less or a few cents less of the actual cost, the actual selling price of fuel, because they're getting value from it. They're saving some extra change, they're saving some extra money from it. Now, price change fraud is a huge risk area because there's a potential of low response time to change prices that would send your customers to your competitors. There's also the risk of your own station manager performing sharp practices at the pump. So I'll give you one very good example. You might authorize your station manager to sell petrol at 145 naira, but your station manager decides to sell it at 146 naira. Now, you being at the head office in Lagos, for example, and your station is at Kaduna, you do not see what is currently going on the site, but you are dependent on the reports you get from the station manager or the supervisor or the attendant or whoever you put in charge of that station. So you have little or no visibility. Now that is a potential risk area because your station manager would have the intention of wanting to make some extra money off himself, whereas you are trying to win more customers, and you definitely lose more to your competitors. Lastly is the little or no customer retention strategy. We will spend some more time discussing about customer retention because the fuel business, the fuel station is a retail space. It's a space of exchange of goods and services, and you have customers. Without customers, you really cannot grow. So I'm going to jump over to how to use technology to solve these issues. Now, in a few years of experience, we've validated our idea, we validated our innovation, we validated our business strategy around using technology to solve these problems, and we've gotten 100% testimony from each and every one of our customers on how technology is reducing these losses by a whopping 60%. And 60%, we know that it could go as high as 70 to 80%, right? Depending on the use case scenario. But today we've been able to see these issues, as listed in the previous slide, reduced largely across over 155 stations currently in Nigeria. We believe that these solutions can also be used by many other retail businesses. So how do we use technology to solve these issues? The most important factor here is for you to take total control, which is what we are telling you to do today. Take total control of everything that happens at the station, either remotely or on-site or on-premise. Now, first thing is you need to get access to real-time data. Technology could give you access to real-time pump sales by the second, by the minute, by the hour, by day, by week. Technology could give you real-time access to tank movement. So once you have deliveries that go into your tank, immediately you could see the tank movement how the volume increases or how the volume reduces, be it by 1 liter, be it by 10 liters, be it by height, right? You could monitor that in real time. That way you do not rely on manual filtered reports, which sometimes are really hard to believe. Because like I gave an example before, you could be anywhere. So if you have a network of 60 stations or 10 stations or 50 stations, you cannot be everywhere at the same time. You need technology to give you all that information aggregated in one space. Secondly, you need to be able to monitor and track your pump activities. How do you monitor what is being sold from your pump? How do you monitor your pump tolerance? How do you monitor your pump calibration? This is something technology could give you in real time. Right now in our space, you want to sell 20 liters and your pump is dispensing 22 liters, right? You've lost 2 liters for every 20 liters. So if you take 2 liters times a total volume of 300,000, for example, if you do the maths, that's a huge loss that you're going to face. Now, so what technology could help you do is, while monitoring your pump activities, to give you a full prescriptive data on pump tolerance, nozzle flow rate, pump behaviors. Your nozzle flow rate is really important because you don't want to keep your customers queuing for so long because your nozzle is not dispensing 35 liters within a minute. Right, the moment when your pump starts dispensing 20 liters in a minute or 10 liters in a minute, then you have a cause of concern because either the pipelines are dirty or either there's something wrong with the pump and it needs to be changed. Otherwise, you will have disgruntled customers who can't wait, especially in this very rapid environment that we're in. The third point is the ability to monitor and track tank activities from your fuel, your water, temperature in each of your tanks. If you have, you could have so many stations. You could have 10 stations and an average of 4 tanks per station. That's 40 tanks. It's going to be very, very costly for you to be able to put manpower to be monitoring each of those tanks one after the other. Besides, using technology, you will be able to get accurate water levels and water height. You'll be able to get the fuel level, the fuel height. You'll also be able to get the temperature of each of your tanks in one place. And technology has so much advanced today such that it could throw alerts when there's high water level. For example, it's the rainy season here in Lagos and in Nigeria, and we've seen so many alerts of stations that have high water levels, and they've been forced to close down in order not to sell water in order to dispense water into vehicles. So it's a huge risk because if you cannot accurately track the water level, if you cannot accurately track the temperature, then it's a huge risk, and which could cause a lot of harm. So how technology helps you is with the use of sensors in each of your tanks. For LPG, for PMS, for diesel, for kerosene, you could remotely monitor this everywhere, and even on your mobile phone. Now, a little thing about these tank activities is it helps you, it gives you that level of comfort where you could replace the need for manual dipping of tanks to perform inventory measurement and inventory management. When installed and operated according to right specifications, this tank will be the primary source of truth of all data, and primary source of truth of stock levels and sales parameters. The fourth point is cash control and management. I mentioned earlier the risk of leaving so much cash in the hands of the station manager or the attendants or the supervisors. There's a huge risk of that money getting missing within a day. This technology helps you to have an automated, reconciled report of how much cash should be left at the station by using control systems. So you could leverage on cash control and management technologies to give you instant access to what has been banked via cash and POS, and what has been given out on credit, and what is outstanding in terms of the delta. And this cash control management will give you daily visibility into these metrics, reducing to a large extent the possibilities of cash losses. Automated reconciliation reports will also help and give you that high level of visibility. Next, the fifth on our list to address is remote and secure price change. With the use of technology today, you could be in the Bahamas having a holiday with your family, and you could log in on your mobile phone and approve a price change request for your station in Kaduna, and it will take just 5 seconds. We've tested it. We've been using this technology here for over 2 years, and it's been helping. It's been saving the cost of having engineers to travel from one city to the other to just perform a price change. It saves you of the cost as well. Little or no cost implication to perform this action using technology, and it's secure, and you have total control of who could change prices. You have total control of the approval workflow process as well. Lastly is rewarding customer loyalty. So I would like to ask, really, I know some of you might have experienced this, but how many times have you been to a fuel station to buy fuel, and the attendant tells you thank you and gives you some sort of reward, or gives you a point which will allow you to buy more fuel later, which could be free? It rarely happens. We've seen huge interest in the last 12 months by some retail fuel businesses here in Nigeria who are beginning to take this initiative. Okay, so we have one question. Okay, so one attendant says it hasn't happened to him. Yes, it rarely happens because in this part of the world, we do not treat selling of fuel as a retail. Well, I won't say we. I'll say a large percentage of fuel business do not treat customers as retail customers. They just treat the whole fuel environment as you're coming to buy fuel. Now, you have to understand one thing. There is going to come a time when, if you do not reward customer loyalty, you will lose your customers to other businesses who are rewarding customer loyalty. And that is a fact, and that has also been proven. Now, customer loyalty is not just to help make the customers happy. It's not just about rewarding customers for coming to buy from you. But trust me, if you embark on a journey of rewarding customer loyalty, there is a huge potential of you increasing your volumes by at least 20% on a monthly basis. Now, it also depends on how and the metrics you decide to use. It also depends on the formulas you decide to reward. So when I mean the metrics and the formulas, I mean if you decide to reward a customer 1 point for buying 20 liters or buying 25 liters or 30 liters, if you decide to reward a customer with 1 liter for buying 30 liters, which is equivalent to probably 145 naira, you would get some level of happiness and some level of loyalty from customers. Every customer wants some sort of reward back for buying fuel. Fuel is a huge, I'll say it's one of the basic necessities of our environment. And you have millions and millions of people daily buying fuel from our station, and they need to be rewarded, because that is what is going to keep making them come back. Earlier this year, we ran a research on a few stations in Lagos to see the response of customers who would appreciate loyalty. And trust me, we had everyone wanting to partake of the customer loyalty program. Even customers who are buying 50 liters at a go, buying 60 liters at a go, wanting to jump on the loyalty program because they know that the loyalty program is a way of your business giving them something back, which they could in turn still use to buy fuel from your station, right? And the money keeps coming back to you while you're getting more loyal customers. It's a very integral part of where the downstream oil and gas business is going in Africa as a whole, because you're beginning to have customers being more alert, beginning to have businesses being more alert about customer behaviors, how many times customer arrives at the stations to buy, and all. So this is a very key takeaway that you should probably start thinking about, how to reward your customers. It could be even the 5-liter buyers who buy inside their commercial bikes, who buy 10 liters or less. It could be those customers, because those customers at the end of the day are the ones that amount to your monthly numbers. They are the ones that amount to your daily numbers and volume as well. Rewarding customer loyalty cannot be overemphasized, because we've seen it happen. We've witnessed some businesses who have grown their volume by 17% in the space of 2 weeks just by embarking on this customer loyalty journey. It's a proven theory that works, and it's something you should also consider. Right now, we've discussed 6 key areas where you could use technology to improve your business. If I could just recap. So we've addressed how you could implement controls around sales, having real-time access to data from your pumps and your tanks, managing your cash properly, having total control and visibility on your pump, flow rates and tolerance, having secure access to changing your price in order for you to remain competitive in the market, and also rewarding your customers. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about Energy 360 and how we use this technology to solve these solutions. So Energy 360, we're a data analytics and technology solutions company, pioneering industry-leading technologies. Most of the technology which you've already heard that I've mentioned to you today. Our mission is still the same, to help you protect your revenue and give you a platform for you to improve your margins by giving you new systems that you could offer to your own customers, provision of new controls, and also giving you real-time visibility into operations on your stations, terminals, and depot. Today, we service a wide range of customers in the market who are huge players, who are using technology to solve these challenges, and who have actually testified of how this technology has reduced their losses by a huge percentage, which I mentioned earlier. Daily, we monitor, we provide services that look after 9.5 million liters on a daily basis. These liters are in tanks, are being dispensed from pumps, have also been delivered to different stations as well. How we support the oil and gas downstream today, we provide systems that give real-time sales and continuous stock monitoring, identifying and reducing the stock losses. Our systems also give you a real-time holistic view of operations, revenue, red flags across all stations. You could go to sleep with your two eyes closed because you know that by the time you wake up in the morning, you're going to get a report on all the activities that happen at your station. If there's any emergency alert, you're going to get email notifications telling you if there's a high water level in your tanks. And so there's so much more that the technology offers. Replenishment and forecasting is a huge area which our systems cover. We've seen in the past few years of regular fuel scarcity happening in some areas in the country, some regions in Africa as a whole, and we attribute this to improper replenishment planning. Now, but having a technology that could help you monitor and track your inventory levels, monitor trends, and which is going to prescribe to you how many days you have left to restock. And these volume numbers are not tampered with and come directly from all the tanks. With the help of our cash management system, you are able to cut down on losses through having real-time reconciliation and fraud analysis, having reports on cash control, having reports that would show you how much revenue you've made, how much cash is in the hands of the station or secured in the vault, how much was paid via POS as well. Our system also provides the remote price change function, allowing you to, from your mobile phone, approve a price change request, which is going to go to any station, wherever the station is across the world, and you will be able to remain competitive in the market. The interesting part of this is you could schedule your price changes to happen at several times in a day or several times in a week. You could schedule price change per product, price change per pump, giving you that flexibility. So that way you, like I mentioned, you remain competitive and you also eradicate price change fraud totally. The good thing about you having full control of your prices from your head office or from anywhere is that you don't put the control of price change in the hands of a station manager or in the hands of one of your staff at the station. You get total control. Today, we are boosting the revenues of our customers by providing customer loyalty programs, providing fleet solutions. One of the fleet solutions I'm going to share with you in the next few slides. And managing cash control. Today, this is our ecosystem. This is what we cover. This is how we resolve these challenges in the downstream oil and gas, which have been a tremendous success in the last few years. And I would like you to look at this, and if you're not applying this same model, if you're not applying this level of technology, then it's time for you to start doing that in order for you to cut these losses one by one. What solutions we bring to the fuel industry? One of our solutions is the E360 Station Manager. The E3 Station Manager is a cloud-based solution for efficient fuel management at the station. It's used by station managers, supervisors, also used by head offices. This is where the station manager manages its sales and its stock. Also, the supervisor uses it. This is also the platform which you will log in to change your price remotely or physically. You manage your expenses, your bank payments and POSs from this same location. Fuel supply and delivery is tracked here as well. Management of lubes and LPG sales is also embedded in this same suite. So you could call this your ERP system. You could call this your ERP system for fuel stations as well. Second solution is E360 Station Analytics. I will be doing a demonstration of this application in the next 5 minutes, and so we could have a run through of how the system works and the value it also shows. It also brings to you and its key performance indicators. The Station Analytics is a cloud-based dashboard and reporting solution. It's where all the data is stored and insights are given to your business. This is a platform where you get access to real-time sales by nozzle, access to real-time tank movements, volume, height, water level, temperature, opening stock, closing stock, deliveries. This is where you get your replenishment planning numbers. This is where you see your income, payment analysis, and reconciliation reports. And this same system provides nozzle activities, performance, flow rate, not performance of the pump and the nozzles, flow rate, tolerance monitoring, which is one of the key challenging areas I mentioned before. And lastly is the customer analysis and patterns. Because we strongly believe that your data has all the answers. Your data could also tell you what kind of customers you want to be marketing to in the next quarter, in the next month, in the next week. Is this a station that has more of high-end customers, or a station that has customers who are mostly commercial? Our third solution is called Velox. Velox is our full management solution for fleet, offered to fuel businesses in order for them to be able to track purchases by their loyal customers. And it's also on this platform you have, which leads to this platform also leads you to the customer loyalty, which I mentioned before. And it provides the necessary controls to grow your fuel business vis-a-vis assurance for your customers. I'll give you one real life scenario. You have so many corporates, so many vehicles owned by individuals or corporates, and they give the driver some money to go buy fuel at the station. In most scenarios, the fuel purchased by those drivers, it's usually not complete. This is a very known scenario. It's a very known scenario that happens everywhere. So for example, you give your driver 5,000 naira to buy fuel, and he buys 3,000, and 2,000 naira is pocketed between him or probably the attendant. With Velox, you have total control of that situation. You don't need to give the driver cash. You give the driver your fuel card or your FOBS key, and that whole payment authorization happens over the cloud. This is one of the pain points that Velox was created to resolve. Controls and authorization at dispensing and fuel points. So without proper authorization, your driver cannot buy the volume he wants to buy, except you authorize him to. How this works is very simple. You have a system and you have access to the system, to the platform where you would fund your wallet. And every time your driver goes to the station to make a purchase of 5,000 naira or $1 worth of fuel, that same volume is what is dispensed from the pump. And on the system, you would see exactly what is dispensed from the pump, and that same amount is what is debited from your wallet. So this way, there is no cash loss between your driver and the attendant. There is no shortages in the volume you want to buy. Right now, with this system, you are assured that if you buy 5,000 naira worth of fuel, you're getting 5,000 naira worth of fuel in your car. And it provides consumption limits per equipment, per vehicle. It also identifies and blocks unauthorized fueling operation, monitors consumption trends and vehicles for your vehicles, provides alerts for irregular fueling activities, and eradication of fraudulent activities from players within the fueling process. That's players who are involved at the forecourt. And so this solution is offered to fuel businesses so that fuel businesses will be able to secure their own fuels, secure their own stations from such sharp practices, and at the same time giving their customers more comfort. So your fuel business, you want to assure your own loyal customers that if they buy 5,000 naira from you, they get 5,000 naira in their car. So there is little or no possibility of them shortchanging you or the system. And on top of that, there's a seamless payment integration and reconciliation between the fleet owner and the fuel station, so that payments are processed seamlessly via the wallet. You buy 5,000 and the pump dispenses maybe 3,000, you have a return or a refund of 2,000 immediately into your wallet. So that's where you're secured. You have the comfort, and you don't have continue having these heartbreaks of shortages in your car. And lastly, there are adequate audit reporting and reconciliation on the system and the dashboards as well. The last product is what we call the Smart Eye. Smart Eye is a tank monitoring system for homes, schools, offices, hotels, hospitals, tank farms, and other tank types. Right? If you have a huge generator in your home, or you have customers who have huge generators and who are daily receiving supply of fuel, you could also provide them with this Smart Eye solution so that they will be able to monitor their fuel and inventory levels accurately. The Smart Eye system is a very robust system that provides continuous stock management, and it's a proprietary solution designed to read tank movements remotely in real time, with lots of alerts, low-level alerts, leakages, temperature alerts, high water level alerts, replenishment planning. So most all these reports are also embedded in the Smart Eye application. You have access to consumption and daily delivery reports, stock level alerts. You could also customize how many times you want to log data and what type of notifications you want. And so the system is that flexible. So at this point, I have come to the end of our presentation. Before we go into the demonstration of the E360 station analytics. But before we jump into that, I would like you to note that it's a proven theory all over the world that technology will bridge the performance gap of companies. And the difference between you and a company that is using technology to resolve their challenges is that they've won that hat of investing in technology and taking that bold step to make sure that all their processes are covered using technology. Right now, you have I'm sure some of you would have some questions, and you'll have some things to think about, how the technology works, how it's going to work for you in your own area, in your own business, in your own region. You could start putting your questions together while we go into the demonstration of the station analytics. So I got a question from Sharif. It says, what is the capacity for the Smart Eye? Is there a minimum or maximum tank capacity? There is no minimum or maximum tank capacity that the Smart Eye application could work with. We work with different tanks, depot tanks, 6 million liter tanks and more. How the system works, like I mentioned, is so flexible. You could, when we set up your tank, how it works basically is we will take in the tank capacity. So if you have a 10 million liter tank capacity on the system, you could configure that, and you could configure also your reorder level limits, your high level limits, your low level limits. So the system is that flexible. So there is really no limit to what type of tank you could use on the Smart Eye application. All right, so here we have the E360 station analytics. This is one of our proprietary systems developed locally here in Lagos, Nigeria. The system provides dashboards and reports, and it has over 100 KPIs, key performance indicators, inbuilt into the system. And it tells you stories of stations' performances. We have customers who have 70 stations today who are able to use this to monitor at a whole stretch what is going on in each of their stations, thereby reducing the cost of sending personnel over to remote distances to resolve challenges. So this is our demo platform. So I'm just going to show you. Just walk you through. This brings us to the end of our demonstration. I can see there are lots of questions that are coming in right now. So please feel free to put your questions in here, and I'm going to respond to them right now. If we can't take at the point where we would probably stretch this for another 15 minutes so I can respond to everyone. Okay, so Rizal, I see your question on how the system can have a handshake with existing systems such as SAP. That is a very good question. So currently our system connects with ERP systems and other solutions using APIs. Currently, we've had a successful integration with Microsoft Dynamics and Navision. We're having also working on an integration with Oracle. So SAP is also one of the systems we could communicate with. In my previous life, I was an SAP ABAP consultant, so I'm aware of how SAP integrates with other solutions. So yes, it can. We can answer. We can do the integration. Yeah, Sheriff, your question says, do we have a probe that could for depot tanks? Yes, we do. We would have to perform an on-site study survey to see if you have to see the tank depth, so we could recommend the kind of probes or sensors we use for that. Rizal, if you don't mind sending me your email, so we could share with you more detail on the solution and also the cost implication for a station. The cost implication really depends on the station's location, the size of the station, how many pumps and tanks. So all those parameters are things we will need to get from you before giving you a cost. Okay, Godwin, on pump performance, so there are three. I don't know if the demo has been able to answer your question, but I'm just going to respond again. So on the pump performance, we track pump tolerance. What if the pump is over dispensing or under dispensing? We could be a risk in if you want to choose any way you want to look at it. Also, we monitor pump nozzle flow rates. So if your nozzle is meant, your petrol nozzle is meant to sell between 30 to 40 liters per minute, and if for one reason we realize within a week it's selling 20, if for a week you end up seeing that it's between 15 to 20, then you know there's a problem. Then you know that you need to do some preventative maintenance for that. So there are, aside monitoring the tolerance and the flow rate, we also track the volume sold by the pump. So within your business, you could have decided with your maintenance or engineering team that the threshold for this pump going for preventative maintenance is once the pump sells 300,000 liters, or once the pump's tolerant meter, right, reaches a certain threshold. So that data is available for you to track, and we could always monitor that and send you alerts. If you want us to set up another call, if that's your key area, if that's your key pain point, then we could do that. So Ola, your question says, does the software totally eliminate the need to calibrate the storage tanks? No, it does not totally eliminate that need. Calibration of tanks has to be done, and we work hand in hand with calibrating your tanks so that you're going to get the accurate reading from your calibration chart on the system as well. In terms of your height on the chart is what should be your volume. So the system should report the same thing. Now, we rely solely on calibration, and we have partners who do tank calibrations perfectly well. We work closely with them because they have a wide number of years of experience in that field, and they're called Smart Flow Technologies. So we could, if that's one of your key areas, please also send me your email so we could talk more on storage tank calibration. Okay, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name, but Ohinfun. Your question is about, will the technology accommodate currently running stations who have no technology or preparedness for automation? Yes, it can. But I would need to know what stage the station is at. But all stations, I think, are ready for technology. Because insofar as you have pumps and insofar as you have tanks, then you've come to the right place. All the systems could work together. So you're asking if evacuation of tanks would be necessary, or is there another way to achieve automation without going through that underground tanks? So I think you're asking if we're going to put in tank sensors in your tanks, if there's going to be a need for us to evacuate the tanks. No, we will not need to do that. So your existing running stations are ready for technology. What we need to do is we would come to site, we will plug in these devices, plug it into the tanks, take the calibration chart, validate the chart. We would also run some tests on the chart to ensure that the chart is accurate based on what we find. And we would drop the sensors in the tanks, even with products in the tanks. So you could start using the system right away. So there will be no need for you to evacuate the tanks. Also, in terms of cash reconciliation, yes, manual entries will be required because you need the station manager to come into on the system. We already have the data on what was sold previously yesterday. So I'll give you an example. Maybe for yesterday, the station sold 3 million. So we know that we should expect 3 million banked via cash or via POS, right? So we give the station manager the system to use to impute the deposit he made to the bank and what teller number, so that you could also validate on the back end of the system. And at the same time, he imputes what he imputes the value of POS transactions also on the system. And there's a cash control report which you will have access to that would show you total revenue, total banked cash, total banked POS, and the variance. Now, if there's any expenses, he will have to also impute the expenses on the system so that we could track that along the way. There will soon come a time when we will be able to, in real time, read transactions from POS machines, but that's still in the works. I don't know if I was able to answer your question. Thank you, Gabriel, for your feedback. Yes, so your question, Gabriel, again, is what is the adoption rate of your technology solution and how can the audience help to promote your solution? So the adoption rate, we've seen the adoption rate increase in the last, since we started in 2017. At that time, it was fairly a new idea, fairly new. It was a very new innovation in the whole retail space. But now we've seen a huge interest from retail players because the truth is, you will always run back to technology to resolve your issues. Technology is the only way out because every day there are new ways to boycott the system, to boycott the processes at the station. Yesterday, I heard another story of how theft happens in storage tanks, where some people use thick foams, put them in the tank, soak up fuel, and they use a very good rope which is strong enough to pull out fuel. That happens in 4 hours, and they could take over 50 or 100 liters. And so people are always looking for ways to boycott the process, right? But technology will always, we believe so much that technology will always outsmart them, because as we are thinking of innovative ways to resolve this, everyone is saying, okay, I want to stop these shortages permanently. I want to reduce these losses. I want my business to grow. I want my business to continue. So we've seen the adoption rate increase. Today we have 158 stations currently using the system, right? And at the time we started in 2017, we had barely 10 or 5, right? So we've seen that really increase. In 2018, we've seen that really increase over time, and we expect that it's also going to increase in the next few months and years. So how can the audience help to promote our solution? So there are different ways. There are different ways you could help promote this system. If you could drop your email, and we could send you different modes of promoting this solution. Thank you very much, Gabriel. Now, how close is to real-time solution? Please, can you mute your microphone, please? Yeah, so your last question, Gabriel, is how close to real-time solution is as real-time as it could get. We could get the data. We get data every second as it happens. We get it on the system. So everything happens real-time. So once a nozzle is lifted and a 5-liter transaction or 50-liter transaction happens, immediately as the nozzle is dropped, we receive the data immediately. Plus minus maybe 5 seconds. That's how real it is. Yes, so Ola, your question is how efficient will it be using this software in a remote town or village where internet isn't very solid? Very, very good question. Ola, so we understand that technology in remote areas is not is really not that strong. So we made this system to work with as little as 2G networks. You could call it GPRS. And the data consumption per month is very light. You have some stations who do not even consume up to 1 gig of data in a month. And a positive side to our devices is that if any point in time there is no internet, we have that data stored on the devices for a long period of time. So once there's any little 2G bar, we send that data comes up immediately. One of the solutions we are trying to apply for remote areas, there are some remote areas that really do not even have internet. So one of the solutions we're trying to apply is to how to use other communication channels rather than limiting it to internet alone, which is something that's very doable. But for now, we have stations in as far back as in villages, in remote towns in Kaduna, in Kano, in Maiduguri, and we are still getting data from them. Also, we leverage on the coverage of the ISPs. We really don't use 4G networks, so we rely on strong networks that have large coverage like MTN, Glo, and we also plan for redundancy, such that if one network goes down, we could rely on the second network to pick up and send us that data. Okay, Rizal, thank you. We got your email. Adit Damola, the probes are imported. Your question was, are the probes made here or imported? Yes, the probes are imported. Rizal, your question is, how long will it take to deploy the technology? Averagely, not more than 2 weeks. It could be lesser. It could be a week, depending on it really depends on once we conduct a physical survey at site. So Akane, your solution, what solutions do you have for offices with large generators that want to monitor fuel usage and consumption? Very good question. So the Smart Eye solution is the right solution for that. You could use that solution to monitor fuel consumption, delivery for generator sets in your office, and it's also real time, and you could be anywhere, any location. And these solutions are also good for hotels, shopping complexes, office buildings, and Smart Eye was designed for that solution, for that use case. Rizal, the solution keeps historical data. Your question is, does the solution also keep historical data, and is there a limit to the data it could take? The solution keeps historical data, right? The solution has no limit to store data in the cloud. So right now we have unlimited storage, like I say, but we've come to an era where we are dealing with petabytes of data, and that's such a huge data. We are not there yet, but we don't have any currently. There are no limits to how much data we could store, and there are good backup strategies and data recovery strategies in place on our cloud servers. So the last question I see here is, how much effect does internet have on your solution? What happens if the area's internet goes off? Now, once the internet goes off, the system, the devices, like I mentioned earlier, the devices stores data for as long as 2 weeks, right? It could be more, right? Depending on the footfalls of that station. So the devices has a capacity to store data for a long period of time, and immediately as internet comes back up, all the data is synced to the cloud. We don't have. Yes, I saw one question on tanker trucks. Yeah, so Toya Adeyi, you spoke about control. It's control or prevent shortages from tanker trucks. So currently we have probes that are used could be used for tanker trucks. The same technology we apply to monitoring tanks that are static is the same technology we apply to tanks that are always mobile. And we have a system which you could also be able to track that. So if that is also your area of concern, trying to monitor and trying to prevent shortages from these tanker trucks, please drop your email so we could also send you a product sheet, and we could have a discussion on how we could be of help to you. So at this time, I don't see any more questions, but I'd like to thank you all for attending this webinar. I really hope it's been of tremendous value to you, and I hope that you've learned a lot from Energy 360, what we offer and what we could possibly do for your businesses. If you Yes, I will share the slides. I will share the slides with you. We will share the slides with you. And also this webinar is going to be shared online, so you could also refer back, so you could watch it later on, and you could use it for your own presentations. And thank you very much for your time. We will be having webinars every month to tackle certain areas of our oil and gas downstream environment. And once we want to do that, we would share the timelines with you as well. But we really appreciate you. On behalf of Energy 360 Africa and the team, we thank you for being part of this presentation, and please enjoy the rest of the week.